Muchachos, it's your boy Tanner Wideman of BarbarianBody. Today I'm going to be telling you guys how you can put on 10 to 15 pounds of lean muscle mass, easy as hell. Let's get straight into it. First and foremost, if you're having a tough time putting on muscle and if you are looking to build muscle, the number one thing you need to do is you need to eat more. I don't care if you think anything else is more important, the most important thing is eating more. Now, how much do you want to eat? I recommend to start with a 500 calorie surplus, okay? Start with that. Do that for 2 weeks in conjunction with a weight training program, and then see how much weight you're putting on, okay? If after 2 weeks you're noticing that you're not able to put on weight, maybe you are a guy that has a little bit of a tougher time putting on muscle, then we're just gonna level it up and do about 700 calories of surplus every single day. Now, before we get into the amount of surplus, you need to calculate the exact amount of calories that you need on a daily basis. You can do this in the way that I always do it, is with the Harris-Benedict equation. I'll include a link down in the description to that equation on Wikipedia where you can just plug your information in. And I've also got a video where you can walk yourself through that step by step. It'll take into account your activity level so that you're actually able to create a real calorie surplus. And because sometimes people neglect the amount of activity they do throughout the day, they wind up with some number that's actually like 1,000 calories under what they need. And then they message me and go, dude, why am I needing only this many calories? Is this correct? So you need to take into account your activity level. So that calorie surplus is super important. Now, what else is important is, as I just mentioned, weight training. 3 times per week. That's what I recommend to start with right here, okay? Lifting heavy. Now, here's the thing. With a lot of guys that try and build muscle, for some reason, everybody's just so inclined to want to do just bicep curls, little isolation exercises, shoulder flies or lateral raises, whatever you want to call them. Exercises like that, or sit-ups, that's what they think they need to do in order to bulk up, build muscle. The only thing I want you to focus on as of this point right now is big compound movements, multi-joint movements, such as a bench press where your elbows and your shoulders are going to be involved. You can press a lot of weight, and then you're going to have your triceps and your shoulders and your chest obviously involved when you're doing exercises like that. Shoulder presses, bench presses, squats. Neglect isolation exercises at the very beginning of your workout. Get done your compound movements when you have the most amount of energy and you can utilize it all for the big heavy movements. And then at the end of the workout, that's when you can focus on your isolation exercises, but spend like 50 to 60% of your time training just compound movements, lifting heavy weight. This is going to put on the most amount of size in the shortest time possible. Now also, when you're weight training, you must be using progressive overload. This is my number one tip, okay? Progressive overload. Track all the weights that you're lifting, every single workout, the amount of weight you lifted, the amount of reps, the amount of sets that you got for all these exercises that you're doing throughout the day, and the next week repeat that workout and beat the numbers that you got. Lift more weight, lift the exact same weight for more repetitions, lift the exact same weight for more sets, beat it, constantly keep stepping it up and leveling up your body and leveling up your workouts so that you can put on this muscle. Now, when it comes to the micronutrients, how much protein and carbs and fats do you guys need? Well, I always recommend that you start with about 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight if you're in a serious need to put on some muscle, okay? Start with 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and then slowly work your way up to about 1.5 grams if after that 2-week period when you're doing your little calorie surplus, you're noticing that you're not putting on as much size as you want to. The reason I get you guys to start with the smaller number first and then work your way up after 2 weeks is so that you don't put on a lot of fat. So if you start on the smaller scale, then you're really going to be able to test the waters there. You might not need 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight, but you might if you're noticing that you're not putting on the size that you want to. Now, in terms of carbs and the fats, I don't use exact numbers for the amount of carbs and fats that I have, but what I would recommend you do is to focus on getting in a lot of fats, because fats are extremely effective to get a lot of calories with. With carbs and protein, you're going to get 4 calories per gram of those. For fats, you're going to be getting 9 calories per gram. So you're going to have a super calorie dense food that you don't have to eat a large volume of. If you were focusing on only eating just proteins and carbs to get in all of your calories and neglecting your fats, it's going to be really tough. You're going to have literally twice the amount of volume of these foods. So take advantage of your fats. So things like peanut butters, nuts and seeds. Trail mixes were a thing that I always used a lot of because there is a lot of nuts and seeds that are in trail mixes, so you're able to get a lot of calories in a really relatively easy time span. And also cheese too, that was another hack that I also liked to use. Carry around a block of cheese, like I'm talking like no joke, like a chunk like this big, and you're gonna be able to get a ton of calories in there. There's even a decent amount of protein in there as well, so that you can get in those calorie surpluses and you're not like completely torturing yourself trying to get in all these calories. So take advantage of the fats, and you can even do this thing. I've read that people take like vegetable oils, and they'll just take a shot of that and be able to get like 300 calories in, and no problem. You can go with the light vegetable oils too, is what I've found out you can actually do. And the difference between like a light a vegetable oil or a light different type of oil is not the amount of calories, it's actually just the flavor. The calories are the exact same. So if you're having a tough time with the vegetable oil, the regular one, then you can go with a lighter vegetable oil. Same amount of calories, it'll just be a little bit less taste. Maybe mix it with some water to dilute it, because that probably is not one of the best tasting shots that you'll ever take in your life. And when it comes to carbohydrates and things like that, I highly recommend. One, they're super cheap, especially if you come from the angle of let's do this with pastas and stuff like that, or having potatoes. It's super cost efficient, super easy to get in a ton of calories, and it's gonna provide your body with the energy that it needs to crush your workouts, lift heavy, and then with the calories that your body needs in order to build muscle. So carbohydrates are very important. I personally like things such as pastas, as I've mentioned. I would have like 3 or 4 separate meals of pasta at least each and every single week. And then I would also get carbohydrates in from like multi-grain breads, bananas, things of that nature. So you want to take advantage of those types of carbohydrates and incorporate them into this diet plan. Carbs are super vital for this, especially for putting on weight, especially for a lot of like the skinnier guys. They'll try and just build muscle with like only focusing on their proteins. You're not gonna be able to get in that many calories from just eating proteins and only focusing on that and neglecting carbs. So take advantage of the carbs. A lot of guys, I know that they started adding in a bunch of carbs into their diet as opposed to just focusing on the protein, and then that's when they were noticing they were able to put on the most amount of size. So don't neglect carbs, and then obviously don't neglect the fats there as well. Now, when it comes to how do you get all these calories in throughout the day, don't just leave this up to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 3 meals, that will be torturous. The amount of calories, so typically on average, most guys for a calorie surplus will need about 3,500 calories a day. So you're gonna be requesting out of your body to get about 1,200 calories roughly, or 1,150 calories in each and every single meal. That's a lot, You wanna make this easy, so I recommend eating every 2 to 3 hours, snacking on something. So take advantage of the things, like I said, with the trail mix and the cheeses. Have big meals. Carbs, so I like to get a lot of pastas. There's a ton of calories you can pack in there with a lot of protein. So that's pretty much what you guys want to do with your foods, and also take advantage of things like smoothies, okay? For breakfast, for example, pump in a lot of calories right from the second that you wake up, because you've just been starving yourself for the past like 6 to 8 hours, depending on how long you've been asleep. Not purposely starving, but you've went through a fast, and then you break your fast at breakfast. Try to take advantage of things like smoothies and stuff. Now, I don't always recommend guys to take protein shakes. I personally don't. I go through phases, like once every year or 2 years, we'll do it for like a month and a half and just I'll quit. But if you do want to take advantage of the protein shakes, they make it a lot easier to get in these calories, more time efficient, more easy to get in the protein as well. So if you want to, then take advantage of that. I'd recommend you throw them in like with a breakfast smoothie. So you put in a scoop of protein powder, throw in some bananas, whatever the fruit you want, strawberries or blueberries, a couple of tablespoons of the peanut butter, 2 to hack, so you can get a little bit more of those calories, and then just mix that all together. Flax seeds as well, mix it all together, and you're gonna have like an 800 calorie drink, no problem, and it's gonna be really good. Super high in protein as well. So take advantage of things like that when you're doing through your bulking phase. And I do want to mention this too. When you start to eat more than your body is normally used to, it's pretty tough to do it. So there is going to be a 1 to 2 week period where it's going to be like, it's not going to be very enjoyable. You're going to be eating a lot of the times when you're not hungry, just so you can hit your calorie surpluses. Listen, it sucks, but that's what's required if you want to put on the weight. If you don't want to put on the weight, then you can bitch about it and not do it, and you won't see results, and you can just be complaining forever watching YouTube videos about it. So ensure that you are prepared for this next 1 to 2 weeks where you're going to be eating when you're not hungry, and eating is going to suck for a little bit. But after that 1 to 2 week period, your stomach will adapt and it'll grow. It's made of the same material as your skin. It's stretchy and it'll expand. So you will get used to it after that 1 to 2 week period. So just push through it, and then you'll be able to handle that. Now, in terms of doing cardio, do I recommend it when you're trying to build muscle? No, I wouldn't recommend it when you're trying to build muscle. If you wanted to focus on more of like a lean bulk, then you can go ahead and go about doing that. Maybe doing like, I'd say about 1 to 2 cardio workouts per week. But if you guys are having a tougher time building muscle and you're having a tougher time gaining that weight, then just leave the cardio alone for right now. Like if you don't have a problem with having a lot of fat that you want to handle at the same time as you're wanting to build the muscle, then leave the cardio alone. Just train those 3 times per week and focus mostly on the meals. Eat the food. I had a gym teacher who would always say that food is like a steroid. It wasn't meant to actually mean that food is like a steroid, but you wanted to mentally have it as that image in your head. That way you'd be more inclined to want to eat even when you weren't hungry, because in your mind it was like, this is my stuff that's going to get me muscle. And that's the way I always tended to think about it after that period. Whenever I was trying to put on a large amount of muscle at any given time, I would think about it as, this isn't just food, that's something that's going to fill me up. This is muscle. Like I'm going to be eating this and then it's going to all of a sudden grow everywhere on me and I'm going to be able to get bigger and stronger. So when you have that mentality, then you're going to be really good. So anyways, back to the point of cardio. Do you need it right now? No, I wouldn't say you need it too much. Mostly focus on the food, but if you feel like you're gaining a little bit too much fat while you're trying to build all this muscle, then by all means toss in 1 to 2 cardio workouts per week. I always recommend high intensity interval training. It's the best for being time efficient and allow you to burn a little bit of extra calories after the workout as your body's in a recovery state. And it's very good for when you're trying to build muscle as well, as opposed to a long steady state cardio, which is not really promoting too much of a large muscular state. Obviously I could bring up the point of comparing a marathon runner with a sprinter. So that's what I recommend. If you're gaining a little bit too much fat, go ahead and throw in 1 to 2 cardio sessions, 10 to 15 minutes of high intensity cardio. So there you guys go. That's my in-depth analysis and explanation on how you guys can go about gaining about 10 to 15 pounds of lean muscle mass incredibly fast, incredibly easy. As I mentioned, the #1 key here is nutrition first off. Make sure you're hitting that surplus. Commit to it. It's going to suck for that first little bit, but get over that hump, you'll handle it. And then thing #2, progressive overload and focusing on the compound exercises. Each week you're trying to lift a little bit more and you're using big, heavy exercises so that you can put on that muscle and build that strength. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, then be sure to give your boy a like down below, and also be sure to subscribe for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you will not want to miss. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. I'll see you in the next video.